Juneteenth is a day of gratitude for those who fought and paved the way for our generation today. It's a day of celebration for the successes of our people, but also it is one of reflection. It's a reminder of all the work that is still needed to be done for our future. Why must Juneteenth be labeled blue ribbon? I'm going to tell you. Blue Ribbon Awards for the delicacies of Juneteenth are very important. One must understand that a Juneteenth menu must be filled with food with red color, the food and the drinks. It's a matter of symbolism. See, the red represents the blood that was shed by innumerable African Americans who struggle for freedom. And unfortunately, in some cases, the struggle still endures. But oh my goodness, the redness to Juneteenth, red velvet cake, watermelon, Texas Pete hot sauce, strawberry pie, hot links are just a few red foods that are commonly served at Juneteenth celebrations. And according to a culinary historian, his name is Adrian Miller, as a matter of fact, he said that red drinks at Juneteenth have links to two fruits that are native to West Africa. One is the cola nut and the other is the hibiscus. The cola nut, typically white or red, but they are used back in the day, along with some sarsaparilla, to make a tea or a cold drink. Now, understand that in African American circles, red color, and it has to have what we call red flavor, like a ripe watermelon, juicy as it can be, with the red flesh just oozing down the sides of your lips. Now, that is truly a traditional Juneteenth dessert, a watermelon. Now, in recent decades, we are doing more with the color red, and so strawberry cake has been added to the menu, as well as red velvet cake. But back in history, they would make pound cakes, or what we call shortcakes, and because usually it was strawberry picking time, then the color red was accented when they would take the strawberries, add some sugar and pour them over the pound cakes. Thus we have shortcake, which used to be the #1 dessert for Juneteenth. Now, what happens in a typical Juneteenth celebration, there is a contest. So if by chance you've never been to a Juneteenth celebration, you must know that each member who decides to make spare ribs or a brisket does everything they can to make sure they're going to be a blue ribbon brisket maker. So barbecue sauce has a red color. So despite the meat, by the time you make up that sauce and pour it all over, if it's pretty and bronzed over that grill the way it's supposed to be, you see red. Now, it could be brisket, chicken, chopped pork, spare ribs, or hot links. Some people will even add a goat or a possum with some sweet potatoes, but I'm not one to indive, but I do know some families take pride in fixing the whole pig. And how they go about that is They dig deep into the earth and they make a pit. And then they put this grate, I would call it, down on top of that pit. And then, I think they used to call it filling the trenches or digging the trench. And they would fill it up with hot coals. And the way that they learned to cook was by the enslaved folks back down in the slave quarters. That's how they would prepare their meat. And it's a smoking process. But they would make sure that the spices and the herbs that were used to season the meat. But where we come from, trenches being built as pits, over time they went to what we call cinder block pits. And now they're using more grills and smokers. But the key is you have to make sure that you cook that brisket with the fat on the bottom. And then you flip it over and you put it to the top so that those juices run through and make a tender brisket. The person with the most seasoned brisket, where that slicing is just falls and the meat is about a half of inch thick, and they slice it just right. And in a contest, if your meat is tender and seasoned all the way through, I'ma tell you, you are a blue ribbon brisket maker. Now, the next thing that folks are looking for a blue ribbon for is when they put together a pound cake. And I want you to know that the person who wins the blue ribbon for a pound cake, they truly have used a pound of everything in that pound cake. You need a pound of butter, a pound of sugar, a pound of eggs, and a pound of flour to make a good old-fashioned pound cake. These 4 ingredients, butter, flour, sugar, and eggs, makes a delicate, delectable, buttery dessert. And I'm gonna tell you, some people can make a pound cake in a bundt can. Some people make pound cake in a loaf pan. But the thing you need to know is that you can jazz it up, whether or not you use regular cane sugar or a little light brown sugar. But you must know that you want to use salted butter, because that's the way it's going to make your cake best. Don't use unsalted butter, but you need to make sure that your eggs were room temperature. You need about 9 eggs for it to equal up to a pound. Now, some people, these modern folks, use a lot of what they call cake flour. When we look at this historically, you're using regular flour. We call it all-purpose flour now. And yes, you do sift the flour to make the best pound cake. If you want that blue ribbon, I think you should take this advice, because I am a product of one who has won that blue ribbon. And lots of people think that making a pound cake is easy, but it's all about how you fold in the egg and how you fold in the sugar. And then it's all about how well you grease that pan. And then you have to know that your pound cake will not do well if you don't center it in the oven. Now you wonder, how do I know all of this? It's because my blue ribbon folk have taught me how to do this. So trust me, I like to say, I got the blue ribbon blood. Yes, I do. But there are other things that are fantastic at a Juneteenth for blue ribbon. If you're making strawberry pie or strawberry and rhubarb pie. Also, who makes the best custard homemade ice cream? Now, there's another trick there. You got to have the right amount of vanilla. You got to know how to get that salt and that ice on the outside of that well where you're going to churn and crack that ice cream. If they say that in order for it to have the right consistency, isn't about the butter and the egg and the cream that you put in to make the ice cream. The secret is, and I'm sharing this, it's about how your ice and your salt is while you're churning. And you have to make sure Even if you have to pull together a team, you have to be constant with that churning for that, or else you're not going to get a good sturdy custard ice cream. And yes, I hate to tell you, but I got blue ribbon blood ice cream making too. So I'm saying to you, if you get a chance to go to a Juneteenth celebration, go over to the contest tent so that you can taste the blue ribbon barbecue, the blue ribbon pound cake, and the blue ribbon ice cream, because those are the things that everybody who thinks they know what they're doing and that they are blue ribbon quality, that's where they'll be. And yes, they want you to taste so that the word can spread. They are blue ribbon material. See you at Juneteenth.